I can understand English, but I can't speak, overcome fear, build confidence, and speak fluently. Welcome to this audiobook on the MediaDeem YouTube channel, where we'll embark on a journey to master English speaking. Whether you're a beginner or someone looking to refine your skills, this guide is designed to address the common challenges learners face, such as the fear of making mistakes, mental translation, and the struggle to think in English. Speaking English fluently is a skill that, like any other, requires consistent practice and the right strategies. In this audiobook, you'll find practical solutions to help you overcome these obstacles, build your confidence, and integrate English seamlessly into your daily life. Focus points. Identifying and overcoming barriers to fluency. Practical strategies for regular speaking practice. Techniques to build confidence in English conversations. The importance of mimicking native speakers and using technology. The role of passive versus active learning in mastering English. How to initiate and maintain engaging conversations in English. What you will learn. How to acknowledge and conquer the fear of making mistakes. Effective methods to practice speaking, even when alone. The power of small, achievable goals in building language proficiency. Tips to incorporate English into everyday activities naturally. Techniques to improve pronunciation and intonation by mimicking native speakers. The difference between passive and active learning and how to use both to your advantage. Strategies to boost your confidence and maintain conversations in English. This audiobook is your companion on the path to speaking English with ease and confidence. Focus point 1: Identifying and overcoming barriers to fluency. The challenge of fluency. Achieving fluency in a new language is a journey filled with challenges, and identifying these obstacles is the first step toward overcoming them. One of the most significant barriers is the lack of consistent speaking practice. Language learners often find themselves trapped in a cycle of understanding but not speaking, leading to a gap between passive knowledge and active use. This gap can create frustration, as learners may comprehend a lot but struggle to express their thoughts fluidly. The fear of making mistakes. Fear is another major barrier. The fear of making mistakes, especially in front of others, can be paralyzing. This fear often stems from a desire for perfection, but it's essential to recognize that language learning is a process that involves trial and error. Embracing mistakes as part of the learning journey is crucial. As the renowned writer Samuel Beckett once said, "Ever tried? Ever failed? No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better." This perspective encourages learners to view mistakes not as failures, but as opportunities for growth. Mental translation. Mental translation is a common issue where learners find themselves constantly translating their thoughts from their native language into English. This process slows down communication and hampers fluency. It also creates a mental barrier, making it difficult to think directly in English. Research in cognitive science suggests that language learners should aim to bypass this translation step by immersing themselves in English as much as possible. The more the brain is exposed to English, the quicker it can start processing thoughts directly in the language. Thinking speed. Fluency is not just about knowing the right words but also about the speed at which you can retrieve and use them. Slow thinking speed can be a barrier, especially in fast-paced conversations. If the brain is not trained to think in English, switching between languages can feel like shifting gears in a car, slowing down the flow of conversation. To overcome this, regular practice and immersion are key. Techniques such as thinking in English, narrating your day in English, or even speaking to yourself can help speed up this mental process. Proven experiments and theories. Several studies have highlighted the importance of practice and immersion in overcoming these barriers. The interlanguage hypothesis, developed by linguists Larry Salinker and Uriel Weinreich, suggests that learners create a unique language system that combines elements of their native language with the target language. This system evolves as they practice and gain more exposure to the target language, gradually becoming more fluent. The key takeaway from this theory is that practice and exposure are essential in refining this interlanguage system into something closer to native-like fluency. Another experiment conducted by Dr. Stephen Krashen, known for his input hypothesis, emphasizes the importance of comprehensible input in language learning. Krashen argues that learners acquire language most effectively when they are exposed to language input that is slightly above their current level of competence. This I+1 input helps learners stretch their abilities and gradually improve fluency. By consistently exposing oneself to English in various contexts, learners can overcome the barriers of fluency and achieve greater confidence in speaking. Recommendations: regular practice. Dedicate time each day to speak English, whether alone or with others. The key is consistency. Embrace mistakes. View mistakes as learning opportunities. Don't shy away from speaking out of fear of making errors. Think in English. Practice thinking in English to reduce the habit of mental translation. This will help improve your thinking speed and fluency. Immerse yourself. Surround yourself with English through media, conversations, and everyday activities to reinforce your learning and break down barriers. Overcoming these barriers is not an overnight process, but with consistent effort and the right mindset, fluency in English can be achieved. Focus Point 2: Practical strategies for regular speaking practice. Developing fluency in English, like mastering any skill, requires consistent and focused practice. The challenge for many learners is not just finding time to practice but also knowing how to practice effectively. Regular speaking practice is essential for bridging the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical use, and this requires both discipline and creativity. The power of repetition. Repetition is a fundamental aspect of language learning. The more you practice speaking, the more natural it becomes. Consider how a musician practices scales or an athlete trains their muscles through repeated drills. Similarly, language learners need to exercise their speaking skills regularly to build muscle memory in the brain. This repetition helps solidify vocabulary, improve pronunciation, and enhance overall fluency. Neuroscience supports this approach, showing that repeated exposure and use of language strengthen the neural pathways associated with that language, making retrieval and use faster and more automatic. Mirror practice. One effective technique is practicing in front of a mirror. This method allows learners to focus not only on what they are saying but also on how they are saying it. Watching your facial expressions, lip movements, and body language can help you become more aware of how you communicate. This self-awareness can lead to improvements in pronunciation, intonation, and confidence. As you practice, you may notice that certain sounds or words are challenging, giving you specific areas to focus on. Mirror practice also mimics the experience of speaking with someone else, providing a safe environment to build confidence before engaging in real conversations. Recording your voice. Another valuable strategy is recording your voice while speaking English. Listening to these recordings allows you to identify areas for improvement, such as pronunciation, intonation, or pacing. It also provides a tangible way to track progress over time. Research in language acquisition suggests that self-recording and playback can enhance self-monitoring skills, allowing learners to become more aware of their language use and more deliberate in their practice. This technique can be particularly effective in reducing the gap between how you think you sound and how you actually sound, leading to more precise and confident speech. Setting achievable goals. Setting small, achievable goals is crucial for maintaining motivation and ensuring steady progress. Goals should be specific, measurable, and time-bound, such as practice speaking for 15 minutes every day, or learn and use 5 new phrases this week. The psychology of goal setting, as explored by Edwin Locke's goal-setting theory, highlights the importance of clear, challenging goals in driving performance. By breaking down the larger goal of fluency into smaller, manageable steps, learners can build confidence and maintain momentum. Each small success reinforces the belief that improvement is possible, creating a positive feedback loop that fuels further practice. Embracing contextual learning. Contextual learning involves practicing language in situations that mimic real-life scenarios. This approach is grounded in the idea that language is best learned in context, where it has practical and immediate relevance. For instance, if you are learning how to order food in a restaurant, practice by role-playing that scenario. This method not only makes the practice more engaging but also helps learners internalize the language, making it easier to recall and use in actual conversations. Theories such as Vygotsky's social interactionist theory emphasize the importance of context and social interaction in language learning, suggesting that language is best acquired through meaningful use in social settings. Mimicking native speakers. Imitating native speakers is a powerful way to improve pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. Listening closely to how native speakers use language and then mimicking their speech patterns can help learners develop a more natural-sounding accent. This method is supported by the comprehensible output hypothesis, proposed by Merrill Swain, which suggests that producing language, especially when trying to mimic native patterns, forces learners to process language at a deeper level, leading to more accurate and fluent speech. Whether it's through watching films, listening to podcasts, or engaging in conversations, mimicking helps bridge the gap between passive understanding and active use. Recommendations. Consistent repetition. Practice speaking regularly to build fluency, using repetition to reinforce neural pathways. Mirror and voice recording. Use these tools to monitor and improve your pronunciation, intonation, and body language. Set small goals. Break down your practice into specific, achievable tasks to maintain motivation and track progress. Practice in context. Engage in role-playing and contextual learning to make language use more practical and memorable. Mimic native speakers. Imitate native speech patterns to develop a more natural accent and improve fluency. By integrating these strategies into your daily routine, you can transform regular practice into a powerful tool for mastering English speaking skills. Focus Point 3. Techniques to build confidence in English conversations. Confidence is the cornerstone of effective communication, particularly when speaking in a language that is not your native tongue. Building confidence in English conversations involves more than just knowing the right words or grammar. It requires a mindset that embraces growth, persistence, and self-assurance. Confidence allows you to speak more freely, engage more fully, and express your thoughts without the paralyzing fear of making mistakes. Understanding confidence as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Confidence in language learning operates much like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe you can speak well, you are more likely to engage in conversations, which in turn improves your speaking skills. This positive cycle reinforces itself over time. The concept of self-efficacy, developed by psychologist Albert Bandura, is central to this idea. Bandura's theory suggests that individuals who believe in their ability to succeed are more likely to persevere in the face of challenges, leading to better outcomes. In the context of learning English, cultivating a belief in your ability to communicate effectively can drive you to practice more, take risks, and ultimately become more fluent. The role of small steps in building confidence. Confidence is not built overnight, it grows incrementally through small, consistent actions. Taking small steps, such as initiating a short conversation with a friend, ordering food in English, or asking a question in a classroom, can gradually increase your comfort level. Each successful interaction, no matter how minor, contributes to a growing sense of competence. The Kaizen philosophy, rooted in Japanese culture, emphasizes the importance of continuous improvement through small, manageable steps. Applying this principle to language learning means focusing on daily, incremental progress rather than expecting instant fluency. Over time, these small victories build up, leading to significant improvements in both skill and confidence. Embracing the journey and overcoming the fear of speaking. A key aspect of building confidence is embracing the learning journey, including the mistakes and challenges that come with it. Fear of speaking often stems from the pressure to be perfect, but it's important to recognize that perfection is not the goal, communication is. The more you focus on getting your message across, rather than on speaking perfectly, the more confident you will become. This approach aligns with Carol Dweck's growth mindset theory, which emphasizes the value of viewing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as threats. Adopting a growth mindset allows you to see each conversation as a chance to improve, rather than as a test of your abilities. The power of visualization and positive self-talk. Visualization and positive self-talk are powerful tools for building confidence. Visualizing yourself successfully engaging in conversations can help reduce anxiety and prepare your mind for real-life situations. Athletes often use visualization techniques to enhance their performance, and the same principles can be applied to language learning. By mentally rehearsing conversations, you can build a sense of familiarity and ease, making it easier to speak when the time comes. Positive self-talk also plays a crucial role. Reminding yourself of your progress, strengths, and the importance of persistence can help counteract negative thoughts and boost your confidence. As the saying goes, whether you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. Your mindset significantly influences your outcomes. Engaging in low-stress practice scenarios. Practicing in low-stress environments is essential for building confidence before tackling more challenging situations. Speaking with friends, joining language exchange groups, or even talking to yourself in English can provide a safe space to practice without the pressure of being judged. These low-stress scenarios help reduce anxiety and allow you to focus on improving your skills. Over time, as your confidence grows, you can gradually increase the difficulty of the situations in which you practice, such as speaking with strangers or participating in group discussions. Recommendations. Cultivate self-belief. Develop a strong belief in your ability to succeed in speaking English, recognizing that confidence grows through practice. Take small steps, focus on small, daily actions that build confidence over time, rather than aiming for instant perfection. Adopt a growth mindset. Embrace the learning process, viewing challenges as opportunities to improve rather than as threats. Use visualization and positive self-talk. Prepare mentally for conversations by visualizing success and reinforcing your progress with positive affirmations. Practice in low-stress environments. Start with low-pressure practice scenarios to build confidence before moving on to more challenging conversations. By incorporating these techniques into your language learning routine, you can gradually build the confidence needed to engage in English conversations with ease and assurance. Focus point 4. Overcoming mental translation and thinking directly in English. One of the most common obstacles English learners face is the habit of mentally translating from their native language before speaking. This process can slow down communication, cause hesitation, and lead to inaccuracies. To speak fluently and naturally, it is essential to break free from this habit and train the mind to think directly in English. Understanding the challenge of mental translation. Mental translation is a natural step in the early stages of language learning. When learners first encounter a new language, they rely on their native language as a reference point. However, as proficiency increases, continuing to translate mentally becomes a hindrance. This practice not only slows down the thought process but also introduces the risk of linguistic interference, where the grammar and structure of the native language influence English, leading to errors. Cognitive psychology explains that this happens because the brain is trying to process two language systems simultaneously, which creates a cognitive load that impairs fluency. Training the brain to think in English. To overcome the habit of mental translation, learners must train their brains to process thoughts directly in English. This shift requires consistent practice and exposure. Immersive experiences, such as spending time in an English-speaking environment or consuming English media, can accelerate this process. The principle of a language immersion is widely supported by research in second language acquisition. Immersion helps learners to start associating words and phrases directly with their meanings in the target language, rather than through the intermediary of their native language. The role of automaticity in language learning. Automaticity is the ability to perform tasks with little conscious thought, allowing the brain to process information more quickly and efficiently. In the context of language learning, achieving automaticity means being able to understand and respond in English without the need for translation. Repetition and practice are key to developing this skill. According to the automaticity theory in cognitive psychology, with enough practice, language processing can become automatic, freeing up cognitive resources for more complex aspects of communication, such as nuance and expression. Building word associations in English. A practical technique for thinking directly in English is to build word associations in the target language. Instead of linking English words to their native language equivalents, learners should connect them to images, emotions, or other English words. For instance, when learning the word apple, instead of thinking of the word in the native language, learners should visualize an apple, recall its taste, or connect it to other English words like fruit or red. This approach aligns with the semantic network theory, which suggests that our brain stores information in interconnected networks. By creating these networks in English, learners can access and use the language more fluidly. Practicing complete thoughts in English. One effective method to enhance direct thinking in English is practicing forming complete thoughts in the language. Instead of constructing sentences word by word, learners should practice expressing full ideas in English. This can be done by narrating daily activities, describing surroundings, or engaging in self-talk. Over time, this practice helps internalize the structure and flow of English, making it easier to think and speak without reverting to the native language. Embracing mistakes as part of the process. A major barrier to thinking directly in English is the fear of making mistakes. However, this fear often leads to overthinking and, consequently, more reliance on mental translation. Embracing mistakes as a natural part of language learning is crucial. The more learners allow themselves to make mistakes and learn from them, the quicker they can bypass the translation step and speak more naturally. This idea resonates with the concept of productive failure, where initial errors lead to deeper learning and better long-term retention. Recommendations. Immerse yourself in English. Engage in environments where English is spoken to reinforce direct language associations. Practice automaticity. Repetition and consistent practice help train the brain to process English automatically, without translation. Create English word associations. Link new vocabulary to images, emotions, or other English words to strengthen language networks. Think in full sentences. Practice expressing complete thoughts in English to internalize sentence structure and fluency. Accept and learn from mistakes. Embrace mistakes as a valuable part of the learning process, reducing the need for mental translation. By applying these techniques, learners can gradually reduce their reliance on mental translation and develop the ability to think directly in English, leading to smoother and more confident communication. Focus Point 5. Strategies to increase thinking speed in English. Thinking speed in a second language is a critical factor that affects fluency and the ability to engage in real-time conversations. When thoughts flow quickly and smoothly in English, learners can respond more naturally and confidently. Developing this skill requires a combination of cognitive training, linguistic exposure, and practical exercises. The cognitive process of language switching, thinking in a second language, involves a complex cognitive process where the brain switches between different language systems. This switching can slow down thinking speed if not properly trained. The phenomenon known as language interference occurs when structures and vocabulary from the native language interfere with the second language. To minimize this, the brain must develop the ability to switch languages more fluidly. Bilingual individuals, for instance, often show greater cognitive flexibility, allowing them to move between languages with ease. Research in psycholinguistics highlights the importance of regular practice in both languages to maintain this flexibility and speed. Building a strong vocabulary foundation, a rich and accessible vocabulary is essential for quick thinking in English. When learners struggle to find the right words, it slows down their ability to think and speak fluidly. Building a strong vocabulary foundation involves not just learning new words but also ensuring that these words are deeply ingrained in the memory. This can be achieved through spaced repetition, a learning technique that involves reviewing information at increasing intervals. The spaced repetition system, SRS, is widely recognized for its effectiveness in helping learners retain vocabulary over the long term, thereby making it more readily accessible in conversation. The role of contextual learning in speeding up thought processes, learning words and phrases in context rather than in isolation, significantly enhances thinking speed. When vocabulary is tied to specific situations, emotions, or narratives, the brain can retrieve it more quickly. This approach aligns with the theory of contextual learning, which suggests that knowledge is better understood and retained when learned in a meaningful context. For instance, learning the phrase, "make a decision," within the context of a business meeting scenario makes it easier to recall and use during actual conversations in similar settings. Contextual learning helps create stronger neural connections, enabling faster recall. Practicing real-time language use. One of the most effective ways to increase thinking speed in English is through real-time practice. Engaging in conversations, participating in discussions, and even using language learning apps that simulate real-time interaction can train the brain to process English more quickly. The communicative language teaching (CLT) approach emphasizes the importance of using language in real-life situations to enhance fluency. This method focuses on interaction as both the means and the goal of language learning. Regular participation in real-time communication helps learners develop the ability to think and respond quickly, just as they would in their native language. Mental and physical exercises to boost cognitive speed. Cognitive speed is not just a linguistic challenge, it also involves mental agility. Exercises that enhance cognitive speed, such as brain games, puzzles, and even physical activities like juggling, can improve overall brain function and, by extension, language processing speed. Studies in neuroscience show that activities requiring quick decision-making and coordination stimulate the brain's executive functions, which are crucial for fast and accurate language use. Engaging in such activities regularly can have a positive impact on thinking speed in English. Managing anxiety to enhance thinking speed. Anxiety can significantly slow down thinking speed, as it interferes with the brain's ability to process information efficiently. When learners are anxious, their cognitive resources are diverted toward managing stress, leaving less capacity for language processing. Mindfulness techniques and relaxation exercises can help manage anxiety, allowing the brain to function more effectively. The Yerkes-Dodson law illustrates that while a moderate level of stress can enhance performance, too much stress impairs cognitive functions, including thinking speed. Learning to manage anxiety through techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or visualization can therefore help maintain optimal cognitive performance. Recommendations: enhance cognitive flexibility. Practice switching between languages regularly to develop cognitive flexibility and reduce language interference. Build a strong vocabulary foundation. Use spaced repetition techniques to ensure deep and lasting vocabulary retention. Engage in contextual learning. Learn words and phrases within meaningful contexts to enhance recall and application in real-life situations. Practice real-time language use. Participate in conversations and use language learning tools that simulate real-time interactions to train your brain for faster processing. Incorporate cognitive and physical exercises. Engage in activities that boost mental agility and cognitive speed to support quicker language processing. Manage anxiety. Use mindfulness and relaxation techniques to reduce anxiety and maintain optimal thinking speed in English. By incorporating these strategies, learners can significantly increase their thinking speed in English, leading to more fluid and confident communication. Focus Point 6. Embracing mistakes as learning opportunities. Mistakes are an inevitable part of learning any new skill, and language learning is no exception. However, the fear of making mistakes often holds learners back, causing hesitation, anxiety, and a lack of progress. Embracing mistakes as valuable learning opportunities is crucial for mastering English and becoming a confident speaker. The psychology of mistake aversion. The fear of making mistakes is deeply rooted in the human psyche. From an early age, people are conditioned to view mistakes as failures, which can lead to embarrassment or shame. This aversion to error is particularly strong in language learning, where mistakes are often made in public settings. Social psychologists have explored this phenomenon through the lens of performance anxiety, which occurs when individuals fear that others will judge them for their mistakes. This fear can create a mental block that hinders language acquisition and fluency. Reframing mistakes as growth. To overcome this fear, it's essential to reframe mistakes as an integral part of the learning process. Cognitive psychologists advocate for a growth mindset, a concept popularized by Carol Dweck, which posits that intelligence and abilities can be developed through effort, practice, and learning from errors. When learners adopt a growth mindset, they view mistakes not as failures but as opportunities to improve. This shift in perspective encourages experimentation, risk-taking, and ultimately, greater progress in language learning. The role of error correction in language acquisition. In the field of second language acquisition, error correction is a critical component of learning. However, the effectiveness of correction depends on how it is delivered and perceived. Constructive feedback, when given in a supportive and non-judgmental manner, helps learners understand their mistakes and how to correct them. Theories such as the noticing hypothesis by Richard Schmidt emphasize that learners need to notice and become aware of their mistakes to improve. This awareness is the first step towards self-correction and mastery. Mistakes as stepping stones to fluency. Every mistake made in speaking English is a stepping stone to fluency. By making and correcting errors, learners refine their understanding of grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and usage. For instance, if a learner consistently misuses a verb tense, the correction process helps them internalize the correct usage. Over time, these corrections accumulate, leading to more accurate and fluent language use. This iterative process of trial, error, and correction is supported by the interlanguage theory, which suggests that learners develop an evolving language system influenced by their native language, but gradually moving toward the target language as they learn from their mistakes. Encouraging a positive attitude toward mistakes. Cultivating a positive attitude toward mistakes is essential for building confidence in English. When learners view mistakes as natural and necessary, they are more likely to take risks, try new phrases, and engage in conversations without fear. This positive outlook reduces anxiety and creates a more conducive environment for learning. Language teachers and mentors play a key role in fostering this mindset by creating a safe space where mistakes are seen as part of the journey rather than a setback. Practical strategies for embracing mistakes. One effective strategy for embracing mistakes is to practice self-reflection. After a conversation or language practice session, learners should take time to reflect on the mistakes they made, why they made them, and how they can avoid them in the future. This reflective practice aligns with the principles of experiential learning, where learners gain knowledge through experience and reflection. Additionally, keeping a mistake journal can help track progress over time, turning mistakes into visible markers of improvement. Recommendations: adopt a growth mindset. View mistakes as opportunities for growth rather than failures. Seek constructive feedback. Embrace corrections as a valuable part of the learning process. Reflect on mistakes. Regularly reflect on errors to understand and learn from them. Keep a mistake journal. Track mistakes to monitor progress and identify patterns for improvement. Engage in risk-taking. Take linguistic risks and experiment with new phrases without fear of making mistakes. By embracing mistakes as learning opportunities, learners can overcome the fear that holds them back, build resilience, and accelerate their journey toward English fluency. Conclusion: as we reach the end of this audiobook, it's clear that mastering English speaking skills is a journey that requires dedication, practice, and a willingness to embrace challenges. Each focus point we've discussed serves as a vital stepping stone toward fluency, guiding you to become a more confident and effective communicator. Summary of focus points: acknowledge your fear. Understanding and accepting your fear of speaking English is the first step toward overcoming it. By facing this fear head-on, you empower yourself to take control of your learning journey. Practice alone and with others. Regular practice is key to improving your English speaking skills. Whether you're practicing alone in front of a mirror or engaging in conversations with others, every bit of practice counts. Set small, achievable goals. Break down your language learning into small, manageable goals. This approach helps you stay motivated and track your progress, making the journey more rewarding. Mimic native speakers. Listening to and mimicking native speakers helps you grasp pronunciation, intonation, and the natural flow of the language. This practice enhances your speaking skills and builds your confidence. Integrate English into daily life. Make English a part of your everyday life. The more you use the language in real-world situations, the more natural it will feel, and the faster you'll improve. Embrace mistakes as learning opportunities. Mistakes are an inevitable part of learning. Instead of fearing them, see them as valuable opportunities to grow and refine your skills. Recommendations: face your fear. Don't let fear hold you back. Embrace it as a motivator. Practice regularly. Consistency is key. Practice speaking English daily. Set realistic goals. Start small and build on your successes. Listen and mimic. Immerse yourself in the language by listening to native speakers and mimicking their speech. Embrace mistakes. View every mistake as a stepping stone toward improvement. Reflecting on everything we've covered, it's clear that each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to achieving fluency. Remember, the more you listen, the better you speak. Listening is an essential part of language learning. Immerse yourself in English, and your speaking skills will naturally improve. Thank you for your continued support and for joining me on this journey. If you found this audiobook helpful, please like it and consider subscribing to the MediaDeem YouTube channel.